Hello, and welcome to an introductory presentation on technical communication. My name is Mark Skanes, and this is done for Technical Writing 2000. So the first question we'd ask ourselves is, what is technical communication? Well, technical communication is a field that basically includes any type or form of communication that will help users accomplish a defined goal or task. So the main purpose is to help these users, giving them specific information to complete these tasks. And that could be just navigating software, operating some form or piece of equipment, or just following instructions. The goal really of technical communication is to share all of this information as effectively and efficiently as possible. The information you provide must allow the audience to complete their task. So some examples of this, there are many, but a few would be embedded help, a user manual, or online help. So before you even begin writing, you need to consider your audience analysis. This is what you will use to look at the users, their goals, and then the tasks that they will need to achieve these goals. So first, when you're looking at users, you need to consider their skills or pre-existing knowledge. This can help you build on certain topics or even start something from the beginning, like an introductory topic. This will save you and the user definitely time. Other things to consider are, what languages do your users speak, or do they have any disabilities that need to be considered? Once you have an idea of your audience, the users, you can then approach goals. Some things you need to ask yourself when looking at the goals are, what are these goals that users will be looking to complete? When or where might they need that information? And what are some other challenges you could see your user facing? Once you've identified the goals, you need to look at the tasks. What tasks will the users need to do to achieve these goals? Other things to consider when you're looking at tasks are, how important are they? You know, some tasks are more important, some will be least important. Some tasks might take more time or less time, and some tasks might be more complex or difficult than others. So these are all things you need to consider when analyzing your audience. You can better understand your audience through research, interviews, or even observation. So once you're ready to write, you really need to consider the goal of this document is, first, that it's easy to use for that audience. So we'll look at three things here: task orientation, accuracy, and completeness. Task orientation, we'll start by going back to the audience. You have to consider your users. Being task-oriented means keeping your users on task. The other thing to consider is the point of view of your users. You want to write from the user's point of view to help their comprehension. Again, going back to goals, we always write user-oriented task topics that will support those goals. And then finally, the clarity. Instructions should be step by step for these users to complete the tasks. After task orientation, you can look at accuracy. So your information must be accurate and reliable. That will include some research. Research can be done through subject matter experts, your own hands-on or other people's hands-on research, observations, and again, interviews. Once you've completed your research, you need to verify that information. It has to be accurate. So again, you could look at other subject matter experts to help with verification. And finally, you know, you really must make sure your information is consistent throughout that document. Users will be depending on your accuracy of this information, and it is your responsibility to provide well-researched, verified, and consistent information. The last thing is completeness. Completeness is, you know, making sure all of the required information is available for your users and covered in enough detail. So it's a really good idea to employ a content management system, software that will help keep your documentation in place. The structure or pattern of your document also helps make sure all of that information is covered. And when I say covered, I mean it's essential that you cover all the tasks to meet the user's goals, and you only go into detail as deep as what the users are looking for or what they need. Okay, so once you've considered that the information should be easy to use, it should also be easy to understand. And this includes clarity, concreteness, and style. So clarity. Clear information is information that the users understand. Simply put, the users must be able to understand it. So you need to really focus on the meaning, what is the task, what is the goal they're trying to achieve, eliminate any extra wordiness there. Your document should also be coherent. Ideas should be connected, and you should be focused. Every topic or paragraph focuses on one idea at a time, kind of going back to that step-by-step procedure. Don't confuse or inflate your information, making it not as clear. It's also really important to consider your audience and look at the ambiguity of your writing. You want to be as unambiguous as possible. You might have non-native English speakers or, well, non-native speakers of the language you're writing in, so you must use words with clear meaning, no ambiguity. This kind of links into the terminology as well. Use technical terms when needed. Technical terminology can reduce confusion and improve efficiency in your writing. So after you consider clarity, you can look at concreteness. So concreteness is trying to, maybe take something a little more complicated and relating it to the user's experience or skill or knowledge that they already have. There are a few ways to assist with concreteness in your documents. You could use comparisons and analogies. These will relate the unfamiliar to the familiar for your users. You can use scenarios to help illustrate a task, for example, or provide them with samples that they can use as a comparison, and make sure these samples are easy to use and, of course, correct. For concreteness, you can also employ visual elements. These could be diagrams, tables, different colors, other graphics, infographics that can make understanding complex information a little more efficient than reading a giant page of text. So visual elements can really help solidify user understanding. And then last, your language. Make sure you use specific and correct language. Again, kind of going back to this ambiguity. You can help really instill concreteness by being unambiguous and using the correct terminology. And finally, there's the style to help improve understanding. So for your style, consider your voice. You typically use an active voice when you want to emphasize who or what is performing an action. Most people prefer active voice in technical communication. Passive voice can be confusing, so you would use it only when appropriate. Next, you would consider your tone. Your tone should be helpful. So again, this would, you could use tools of concreteness and you're, making sure you're accurate. That will kind of help the helpful tone. Also make sure your tone is direct and authoritative. Kind of leaning into a neutral or professional tone. Most technical documentation would, again, be direct to the user and telling them specifically what to do. Grammar and writing are also things to consider when looking at style. You want to make sure your writing, your grammar is consistent and, of course, correct. And using parallel structure elements in your writing can really help improve understanding. Templates can also be used. This is kind of, when you think of style, you might think of what a document looks like. So you can use a template, a style guide, tags to define the structure and appearance of your document. And what this does is it helps maintain consistency through the document. It helps users navigate, read, and again, understand this information. And the last thing is it's always important to avoid gender and cultural bias in any of your writing. Many times you'll be writing to a worldwide audience. You might be working with a translation or localization team. So avoid any of these biases or as much as possible. All right. Lastly, the information should be easy to find. So once they've looked at, once your information is easy to use, once it's easy to understand, can the user find it? And this relates to the organization of your document, the retrievability, and the visual effectiveness. And again, that's similar to the style, but you'll see some slight differences here. So improving navigation. Well, first you can look at the organization of your document. Organization is how elements of your information fit together. The arrangement that will make sense to your users. So for organization, look at location. Put the information where the user expects it. Any book you read would follow a logical order. So information should be there where they need it. This, table of contents at the beginning, for example. Index at the end. These things can help a user navigate your document. Arrangement, always arrange your information in logical order. So, don't start with a high level task or goal. You start at the beginning. And finally, emphasis. You can always use emphasis to help your users navigate through the document to distinguish between, concepts or sub-concepts. Retrievability. So retrievability is, again, how can they find this information? This is what enables users to locate their task or goal or information. So searching, most modern online help, embedded help software would have a search engine that can help find the topics. You have to make sure when you're writing that these topics can be found. So you would use keywords or tags, headings, and titles. For browsing, it's a little different than using a search engine. This is kind of when your user would scroll through the document. So you would use or could use a table of contents, an index. They might be looking for clear and descriptive titles. Again, emphasis and headings can help them browse and navigate your document as well. And then links. Links can help a user navigate from one place to another. So just like you would see on the internet, you click a link, you go to a new place in the document. This can help them find information about something related, for example, or even expand on the information that is shown on the screen. And finally, your visual effectiveness. So visual effectiveness is how the appearance of this information helps the users, find or use the information. Visual effectiveness, we can look at textual elements, graphics, and the consistency of these elements. So textual elements like titles, headers, we can use visual design principles to help the user navigate through that document. It also improves readability. Similar to like white space tables or lists in a document, this will help the user navigate through. Graphics can also be used in your document. These, like I mentioned earlier, they increase or improve concreteness. The graphics must be easy to read and meaningful for the information that you're trying to relay. And then lastly, the consistency, the information, the style of your document, it needs to be consistent. So, they know what a title looks like. They know what a heading looks like. Graphics are kind of shared in a similar way, and this can help your user navigate easily and also improve readability. Being consistent throughout any technical communication is essential for users, but it can also help make work easier for other people working on that document, like editing or translation teams. Consistency really can make something more efficient. Okay, so that's a very quick summary or rundown of technical communication. There's my references for this presentation, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Thank you for your time.